Hey guys, what's up? So a lot of you have been asking this question. Seth, please tell me the difference between arbitrage, private label, dropship, and wholesale. And I keep hearing these all the time, and what do they mean? So today, I'm gonna break it down for you very simply, very clearly. Let's start with arbitrage because it's just, I don't know, it's a good place to start. You know what I'm talking about. In fact, if you're trying to generate cash quickly, go to justonedime.com/arbitrage and check out what we got. Arbitrage is really good if you need cash. So if you have a full 9 to 5, you got a family and kids, you have a lot of obligations, and you're like, okay, so I have a little bit of time to build a business, but I don't have money. Arbitrage is an easy way to generate cash quickly before moving to private label. And we always recommend that if you're short on money. Or you get a second job, you start driving for Uber or Lyft, you do a yard sale, you sell everything in your house you don't need, and use that cash to launch your private label business. But let me break it down for you really quick. So I'm just gonna write up here arbitrage. Now, hopefully you guys can see that, A-R-B-I-T range. Okay, so it's arbitrage. Arbitrage simply means taking something in one environment, like a country, moving it to another environment, and the value goes up. So if I buy this eraser on, let's say, Walmart.com for $10, and I sell it on Amazon.com for $20, I just made $10 profit minus the Amazon fees. That's all arbitrage is. It's kind of the same if I took $100, brought it into Mexico. Now that's a lot more money in Mexico than it was in the US based on the value of the dollar in that country. Or if I took $100 and brought it into the UK, now it means it's actually less money because in the UK things are more expensive. It's the same concept, okay? So what you're doing in arbitrage is you're buying from one place, you're buying low, and you're selling high. So the two keywords for arbitrage are low and high. You gotta go low before you can go high. Don't read into that. That would be messed up. Low and high. So you buy low, you go high. Now, there are two kinds of arbitrage, and you probably heard them this way. It's kind of weird, I know, but you've heard of RA or you've heard of OA. RA stands for retail arbitrage. OA stands for online arbitrage. So retail is like when KK and I go on a yard sale date and we go out and we buy stuff at a yard sale or at a Goodwill or at a Walmart store or a Target store, and we resell on eBay and Amazon or Craigslist or a Facebook marketplace. In other words, again, to use the example, we're buying the eraser for $1 at a yard sale. We're selling it for $10 on eBay. We're making money on the difference minus the eBay fees. That's retail arbitrage because we physically walked into a place. It means a physical place, like a store. You know what I'm saying? OA stands for online arbitrage. It's where you buy something on Walmart.com or Target.com or Kohl's.com. There's all these places. In fact, if you click the link below, we give you 75 websites you can go to source products. Home Depot has a ton, by the way. You buy them online, you get them shipped to the Amazon FBA center. Either they're shipped to you, you ship it in, or you use a prepping company, which is usually between $1 and $1.50 per item. And you resell it and you sell it for a higher price. Now here's the advantage of arbitrage and here's the disadvantage. The advantage of arbitrage, the money you start with can be very low. And you can turn that, like you could literally start with $100 and you can turn this into $20,000 a month if you want. Many of our students have. One guy, he bought his family a brand new house, the house of his wife's dreams, just selling an arbitrage. He likes it so much, he's not even doing private label. He continues to do arbitrage because it works well with his system. He likes it. Arbitrage is difficult at first because you're trying to find the place where you can source a product. You take your Amazon app on your phone, you scan the product and it says, oh, restricted, or you can't sell this brand. So you have to keep doing it. You have to be patient. And once you find a product that's below 100,000 BSR, or even better, 80,000 BSR, or even really good, 50,000 BSR, or even insane, below 25,000 BSR, that means it's gonna sell quickly. And you can quickly see, based on the cost, you type it in on your Seller Central app, how much it will actually cost you and how much it will make you if you were to buy it. It really is that simple, but it takes patience. People who stick with arbitrage over time, they can grow a large amount of money. But here's the disadvantage. I said low capital up front is an advantage. The disadvantage is the time it takes. It's not very passive income. It takes a lot of time. In other words, you can scale quickly, make a lot of money, but the more you scale, the more time you have to spend. You have to keep sourcing. So you have an option. You can hire a bunch of employees, like one of our students does from New York, and he does over $1 million a month in arbitrage, or VAs, virtual assistants, people online from other countries who do all the online arbitraging for you, which takes out of your profits, yes, but you can still scale fast, or you can move to the next step. And that is the next point. So that's a breakdown of arbitrage. Now let me explain private label. Private label is unfortunately a very misleading term because there was a day when you could buy something as generic as an eraser off of Alibaba or AliExpress or DHgate or Global Sourcing or Global Imports, and you buy it, and all you do is change this brand that says Expo. Can you see that? You just change it to your brand and you sell it. Private label, my label on this product. And it would sell and you make a lot of money. Well, today things have changed. You have to build a brand. So probably a more accurate term than private label would be brand building. Now this term is not as popular yet, so you won't hear it as much, but it has begun to take action. It's begun to trend. And a lot of people who hear about Just When I hear about this, where we help you focus on building your own brand. Now, private label, technically, you're changing it to your own brand. Yeah, I get that. But you got to think more than that. You want people to love the brand. It's not just a new label so you have the excuse to sell the erasure. It's a brand that you want people to fall in love with. And that's how it works. Now, how does private label work? You're going to buy it from a factory, a manufacturer. Oftentimes, they're in China. They could be in India, Mexico, South America, Pakistan, there's many places, the US, and you're gonna buy a large quantity, anywhere from probably 500 to 2,500 would be pretty average, okay? So instead of buying, 3 erasers, 3 clocks, 3 yoga mats, 3 markers and selling those on arbitrage, and you have to go back and buy them again when you run out, instead of doing that like arbitrage, you're gonna buy a whole bunch of one item. And you're going to differentiate this item. You're going to make it fix a problem that no one else is fixing. That is the essence of private label, better termed as brand building, because you're building a brand. Now, this does require more money up front. So at the front, I'm going to do 3 of these. You need more money, guaranteed. The lowest I've ever seen someone do it is starting with $500. More realistically, $2,500, $3,500, maybe $4,000, depending on the product and the product category. Now, in our membership, by the way, go to justwhenI'm.com/freedom. If you go there, we teach you how to do it based on your budget, if you have a limited budget. But it still will cost more money up front than arbitrage. Because arbitrage, I could just buy 3 of these. I resell them, I make $80. I buy 3 more, I sell them, I make another $80. You see what I mean? I can slowly build it. Here, I have to buy 500 to 2,500. Why? Because a manufacturer is manufacturing that product for me. They're building it out. So there's a minimum order quantity they require to make it worth their time. So I need more money up front. But here's the cool part. Once it begins selling, even while you're sleeping, you're making money. You wake up, you check your Seller Central. Oh my goodness, I just sold 75 last night. I sold 35. I'm gonna do this right now. Let me see how many sales I got in one of our new Amazon stores. Give me 1 second. Pulling it up. Whoops, that's eBay. Amazon Seller Central. I'm pulling it up on the app on my phone. And let's see. So I've done 139 so far today. 139 sales just today. Some of that was when I was sleeping. And right now while I'm teaching you, I'm still making money. I don't have to be constantly hustling out there. A lot of the hustle is at the beginning. So the money cost up front is higher, but long-term it saves you time and you make more money. Because once it's going and it's really going well, you get to a point where it's called the pamper stage, where you can pamper the listing, you tweak it. It takes a while, but it requires less and less time over time. And that's what we mean by passive income. We don't mean you're just passive and you hope the money comes in. Like, it takes work, but over time it becomes more passive. Okay, so that's private label. Let me give you the next one. It's called wholesale. Now, as you probably guessed, when you are a wholesaler, it means you're buying something in mass quantity at wholesale proportions. Like, again, you buy just kind of like private label, you're buying in mass quantity, but that's for a manufacturer to build a new product. With wholesale, you're piggybacking on a brand like, let's say, Nike, and saying, look, guys, I want to make a deal. I want to make an offer. You can't refuse. I would like to buy your product. You give me a discount. I'll buy a minimum order quantity and I can resell it. you have to put in an application. When you're approved as a wholesaler of a brand, it gives you an advantage because that brand already has trust and recognition and equity. People already follow it. If I go to Amazon.com and you are a wholesaler for Nike and I buy, you make money. Because when you bought it from Nike, let's say they gave you a 40% discount. So because of that 40% discount, that's a 40% profit margin for you minus the Amazon fees and any other fees you have for running your business. See how that works? So instead of you having to worry about building trust over the Nike brand, you're piggybacking on a brand that already exists. Now, the nice thing about wholesale is it also is a fast way to make money without having to worry about the long journey of building your own brand. The downside is when they stop working with you, it's over. You have no brand equity. You can't sell the company. Like technically you can, but it'd be like selling the contract. And a lot of contracts have clauses in there that prevent you from doing that. So you're really not building me something that you could turn around and sell in the future, which is why private label has an advantage over this. This also takes a little more upfront cash like private label, but doesn't have the long-term aspect like private label. By the way, guys, please subscribe and comment below if you like this video. If this is helping you, subscribe, comment below. In fact, tell me which one of these you like the most. So we talked about arbitrage, we talked about private label, we talked about wholesale. The fourth and the last is dropship. Now, dropship I have done quite a bit of in my years, but not nearly as much as private label or arbitrage. And let me explain why. First of all, how does it work? It's very simple. I go to Amazon and I buy your eraser that you listed. What's funny though, that eraser does not sit in your house. It doesn't sit in your garage or your warehouse or Amazon's fulfillment center. In fact, you don't even own an eraser. Huh? Then how in the world could you be selling an eraser you don't have? Well, it's because after I pay you $10, $20 for the eraser, because it's really special, you're gonna go to Walmart.com, buy it and ship it to me. And by the way, it only cost you $10 on Walmart.com. So you were able to make 10 bucks minus the Amazon fees. That's how dropship works. You are you're creating a whole bunch of listings to products you do not own, and you're drop shipping them from other places. Now, so a lot of people have wondered, is this illegal or against the terms of service with eBay or Amazon? Let me be very clear, it is not. It is not. A lot of people are gonna say, no, it is. No, it's not. How do I? Because I do it. And I'm not saying I'm like the standard, but I'm telling you can do it. Like it's fine. You go look at their terms. They say you can do it. You just need a healthy account and be very careful, because if you create a negative customer experience, yeah, Amazon could come after you and it wouldn't be very good. They could shut down your account or suspend you. The way dropship works is it requires a lot of back-end work after the sale has happened. So after the transaction, someone has to go in and buy it from another platform and ship it, which means your products are not FBA, but FBM, which means fulfilled by merchant. You're not sending this into Amazon's fulfillment center, fulfilled by Amazon, FBA, get it? You're not doing that. So you're listing it as fulfilled by merchant, you're the merchant, you're fulfilling it, but you're doing it on someone else's product. Now, arbitrage, dropship, and wholesale all depend on other brands. You're piggybacking off their brand. The huge advantage that private label gives you is that you are not piggybacking off of someone else's brand. You're building your own. The path will take longer and more effort. But I'm telling you, when you get to a point where you sell your company, like one of our students did, for over $1 million, it's worth it, because now you have a massive amount of money and brand value. And even if you don't, people start going to Amazon. Did you know that a lot of shoppers, the last survey I heard of this, last study, is 40% of Amazon buyers go to Amazon for the purpose of discovering new brands. So when they go on Amazon and they find your brand and you serve them really well and treat them like royalty and they really fall in love with what you do, they will spend more money to buy your product because you built brand equity and trust. That is the difference of those four things. Subscribe, click below. And by the way, if you want training on the private label part, go to justonedime.com/freedom. See you next time.